Shiloh by Phyllis Reynolds Naylor. Shiloh. To Frank and Trudy Madden and a dog named Clover. Chapter 1. The day Shiloh can't come, we were having us a big Sunday dinner. Darlene's dipping bread in her cold glass of cold tea, the way she likes, and Becky pushes her beans up over the edge of her plate in her rush to get them down. Ma gives her a scolding look. Just once in my life, she says, I'd like to see a bite of food go direct from the dish into somebody's mouth without the detour of any kind. She looks at me when she says it, though. It isn't that I don't like fried rabbit. I like it fine. I just don't want to bite down on buckshot. That's all. And I'm checking each piece. I looked that rabbit over good, Marty. You won't find any buckshot in that thigh, Dad says, buttering his bread. I shot him in the neck. Somehow, I just wish she wouldn't have said that. So I pushed the meat from one side of my plate to the other, through the sweet potatoes and back again. Well, did it die right off? I asked, knowing I can't eat it unless it had. Soon enough. You shoot the head clean off? Darylyn asks. She's like that. Dad chews real slow before he answers. Not quite, he says, and goes on eating, which is when I leave the table. Best thing about Sunday is we eat our big meal at noon. Once you get your belly full, you can walk all over West Virginia before you're hungry again. And any other day you start out after dinner and you've got to come back when it's dark. So I take my .22 rifle Dad had given me in March for my 11th birthday, and I set up down the road to see what I can shoot. Like to find me an apple hanging way out on a branch, see if I can bring it down. Line up a few cans on the rail fence, shoot 'em off. Never shoot anything moving, though. Never had the slightest wish. We live high up in the hills above Friendly. I hardly know anybody knows where that is. Friendly is near Sistersville, which is halfway between Wheeling and Parkinsburg. Used to be. My daddy told me Sistersville was one of the best places you could live in the whole state. You ask me, the best place to live, I'd say, is right here where we are, a little 4-room house with the hills on 3 sides. Afternoon is my second best time to go up to the hills, though morning's the best, especially in the summer, early morning. One morning, I saw 3 kinds of animals, not counting cats, dogs, frogs, cows, and horses. I saw a groundhog. I saw a doe with 2 fawns, and I saw a gray fox with a reddish head. I bet his daddy was a gray fox and his mama was a red one. My favorite place to walk is just across the rattly old bridge where the road curves by the old Shiloh schoolhouse and follows the river. River to one side, trees to the other, sometimes a house or two. And this particular afternoon, I'm about halfway up the road along the river when I see something out of the corner of my eye. Something moves. So I look around 15 yards off, and there it is. Short-haired dog with white and brown and black spots. Not making any kind of noise, just slinking along with his head down, watching me, tail between his legs, like he's hardly got the right to breathe. A beagle, maybe a year or 2 old. So I stop and the dog stops. He looks like he's been caught doing something awful. I can tell that he really wants to follow along beside me. Here, boy, I say, slapping my thigh. Dog goes down to his stomach, groveling around the grass. I laugh and start over towards him. He got an old worn-out collar on, probably older than he is. Bet it belonged to another dog before him. Come on, boy, I say, putting out my hand. The dog gets up and backs off. He don't even whimper like he's lost his buck. Something really hurts you inside when you see a dog cringe like that. You know somebody's been kicking at him or beating him on him, maybe. It's okay, boy, I say, coming a little closer, but he still backs off. So I just take my gun and follow the river, and every so often I look over my shoulder, and there he is, the beagle. I stop, he stops. I can see his ribs. Not real bad, but he isn't plumped out or anything. There's a broken branch hanging on the limb out over the water, and I'm wondering if I can bring it down with one shot. So I raise my gun, and I think of how the sound might scare the dog off. I decide I don't want to shoot my gun much that day. It's a slow river. You walk beside it, you figure it ain't even moving. If you stop, though, you can see the leaves and things going along. Now and then a fish jumps. Big fish, bass, I think. The dog's still trailing me, tail tucked in. Funny how he don't make a sound. Finally, I sit on a log and I put my gun at my feet and I wait. Back down the road, the dog sits too. Sits right in the middle of it, her head on its paws. Here, boy, I say, patting my knee. He wiggles just a little, but he don't come. Maybe it's a she-dog. Here, girl, I say. This dog still don't come. So I decide to wait the dog out, but after 3 or 4 minutes on the log, it gets boring. So I start off, and so does the beagle. Don't know where you'd end up if you followed the river all the way. Heard somebody say it curved back around, comes back on itself. But if it didn't, then I'd get home after dark, and I'd get a good whooping. So I go as far as the ford, and then when the river spills across the path, and then I head back. When I turn around, the dog sees me coming and goes off into the woods. I figure, that's the last I'll see of that beagle. And I get halfway down the road again before I look back, and there he is. I stop, he stops. I go, he goes. And then, hardly thinking on it, I whistle. And pressing a magic button, the beagle comes barreling towards me. Legs going lickety-split. Long ears flopping, tail sticking up like a flagpole. This time, when I put out my hand, he licks all my fingers and jumps against my leg, making little yelps in his throat. He can't get enough of me, like it's been saying no all along, and now I'd said yes, he could come. It's a he-dog, like I thought. Hey, boy, you really something now, ain't you? I'm laughing, and the beagle makes circles around me. I squat down, the dog licks my face and my neck. Where'd he learn to come if you whistled? So I hang back. So I hang back if he didn't. I'm so busy watching the dog I don't even notice. It started to rain. Don't bother me. Don't bother the dog neither. So I'm looking for a place where I first saw him. Does he live here? I wonder. Or the house up on the road? Each place we pass, I figure he'll stop. Somebody will come out and whistle, maybe. But nobody comes out, and the dog don't stop. It keeps coming after me. We get to old Shiloh schoolhouse. Even starts across the bridge. Tail going like a propeller. He licks my hand every so often to make sure I'm still there. Mouth open like he's smiling. He is smiling. Once he follows me across the bridge, though, on the past the gristmill, I start to worry. Looks like he's fixing to follow me all the way to our house. Ooh, I'm in enough trouble coming home with my clothes wet. My ma's mama died of pneumonia, and we don't ever get the chance to forget it. And now I got a dog with me, and we were allowed to have no pets. If you can't afford to feed them and take them to the vet, then when they're sick, you have no right taking them, my ma says. And that's true enough. I don't say a word to the beagle the rest of the way home. I'm hoping he'll turn around at some point and go back. But the dog just keeps coming. I get to the front stoop and say, "Go home, boy." Then I feel my heart squeeze up when he stops smiling. He sticks his tail between his legs again, and he slinks off. He goes as far as a sycamore tree and lies down on the wet grass, his head on his paws. "Whose dog is that?" Ma asks when I come in. I shrug. Just followed me. It's all. Where'd he pick up with you? Dad asks. Up at Shiloh, across the bridge, I say. On the road to the river. I bet that Judge Travers beagle, said Dad. He got himself another hunting dog a few weeks back. Judge got himself a hunting dog. How come he don't treat him right? I ask. Well, how do you know he don't? The way the dog acts is scared to pee almost, I say. Ma gives me a look. Don't seem like he's got any marks on him, Dad says, studying him from our window. You don't have to mark a dog to hurt him, I'm thinking. Just don't pay him any attention and he'll go away, said Dad. And get out of those wet clothes, Ma tells me. You want to follow your Grandma Slater to the grave? I change my clothes and I sit down and turn on the TV, which only has 2 channels on Sunday afternoons. It's preaching and baseball. So I watched baseball for an hour and I got up to sneak to the window. Ma knows what I'm about. That Shiloh dog is still there? She asked. I nod. He's looking at me. He sees me there at the window with his tail, starts to thump, so I name him Shiloh.